Inspired to be a gardener by his two gardening grandmas and watching the Victory Garden. I think a lot of us missed that show. He graduated with a BS in horticulture from the University of Georgia, and he has worked at Plant Delights Nursery in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the State Botanical Garden in Athens. Currently, he works at Noonan Presbyterian Church and lives here in Noonan, Coweta County. Please welcome Cliff Brock.
Thank you. All right. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay, all right. If you can't, please tell me. Let me get this right here. Let's see. Oh. Beginning.
Just make sure it goes forward.
Yeah, let me make sure it works. Okay. That'd be bad. All right, today I'm going to talk about a topic that I love because it's so exciting to be able to grow plants and share them with people. I mean, what better way to, get people interested in plants than giving them a free gift? And that's one of the main missions of my life, is to spread plants, rare perennials, far and wide. So, is this not working? Let's see. Uh-oh.
Let me see this.
Technology, if it's going to go wrong, it will. All right, let's see. Oh, is it off?
Is it on?
No. Well, I can click it.
Here, let's try it. Yeah, I'll try this.
Okay. Can you? Well, why propagate plants? Well, it's personally satisfying. I mean, obviously, the joy of sharing, that is a great pleasure of life, is to share what we have. What good is it to hoard everything we have? The purpose is to share. And then it's good for plants that are rarely offered in nurseries, like plants that are rare or only offered sporadically. Saves money. I mean, pretty much free except for dirt. Oh, is it working now?
I don't know. No.
Let's see.
Do you want me to go forward and forward?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So it's a life skill that connects us to our ancestors. So I asked Chat GPT about this and about what are the benefits of propagating plants, and it offered me this interesting, and I'd never really thought about this, but propagating is a form of sharing that goes back thousands of years. Can you go back to the next? Since the dawn of civilization, 4,000 years ago, when we domesticated grains. This is an image from Egypt. So it really connects us to this primal joy of growing things, which we all have as part of our DNA. Okay. So who am I? I am a Georgia native, like she said. You can keep going. Yeah, keep going. BS in horticulture, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, my life goal is to be like a modern day Appleseed, a Johnny Appleseed, just spreading plants wherever I go, giving them to people. And I have lived all over I've lived in Oregon, Massachusetts, North Carolina, and I've spread things everywhere. So that's me without the beard. Yeah. So you can keep going. So I chose to call this slips, seeds, and snips, and what was the third one? Oh, starts, yeah. Or cuttings. All right. And they're all S's, and slips are the first on the list, and that is a cutting. That's an old-fashioned term for cutting. It's also a term used in grafting, but we don't want to worry about that. All right, keep going. So cuttings are great for like members of the mint family, salvias, hibiscus, things like that. They're easy. You can root in water. You can keep going. Angel trumpets are great. I just did some of those. Camellias. Some things take a long time from cuttings. I like to... Oh, yeah, keep going. Yeah, no, that's good. Stop. Go back. Yeah. Sorry. Can you go back? Yeah, so I like to take, ideally you want to take them when the wood is, what happened?
Okay, she got it to work now.
Oh, it's working. Oh, wait. Thank you. Wow, I was about to panic. Okay, all right. Okay, let's get through this. So June is the ideal month, but you can take cuttings anytime the wood is semi-hard. So you want it to be flexible but not woody. So that comes with experience. So you're going to lose a lot of things. So that I'm going to tell you that from the outset. Don't worry about things dying, okay? Because that's a part of learning. And I kill things all the time. Uh-oh. Okay. The pros and cons, like I said, you're creating a genetic copy, so that could be a downside if you're wanting diversity. But if you want a specific cultivar, cuttings are the preferred way of doing it. They can be slow, like camellias take months and months to root, but you know, through the winter, I'm actually doing some now in the winter, and it'll be months before they're rooted, but you know, it's better than nothing. And then some things are very difficult to root, like snowball bushes. Many native azaleas are pretty difficult. Chestnut trees, oak trees. So you need to do a little research before you do. Yeah. So my propagation mix is perlite, a 1-to-1 ratio of some kind of potting soil and perlite. You want it really fluffy and well drained. The bark helps ensure a lot of drainage, so you want high bark, high perlite. Because the biggest enemy to root development is too much water rather than too little water, which is kind of counterintuitive. I put my cuttings in bags, and I'll show you the step by step. This is a hibiscus, a rose of Sharon, not a rose of Sharon, Confederate rose. So you take the cutting from the slightly flexible but still somewhat stiff section. You see right there, I've got a flowering maple and a hibiscus. And then cut off most of the leaves. I'll leave a few leaves, or cut half the leaves. And then put it into a pot. This is just my method, okay? Everybody has their own method. And then you want to use some, you don't have to, but you can buy some rooting hormone. And then seal them in these big Ziploc containers and put them in a shady spot, okay? This is something taught to me by this guy that does native azaleas in South Carolina. He has good results from doing this. So you put it in a shady spot and just forget about it. Don't water it, don't open it. And then you'll eventually start to either see little roots come out the bottom or new shoots. And that's when you can open it up, okay? So anybody can do this. I don't want to hear, like I can't propagate plants, because you don't have to have a greenhouse. And then you can also root in the ground like the old timers used to do, like with glass jars. This is a camellia rooting. Around 5 inches, use a mason jar, stick over it, and forget about it. Now you do want to do this in a shady spot, okay? Let's see, what else? It's good for slow rooting things like camellias, okay? And then, like I said, it's a numbers game. Don't get upset if these things die. The more you do it, and it's not a science. It's actually an art form more than a science. So don't get too discouraged. Nobody really knows the correct way to do these things. Experiment. All right, so dormant cuttings, are good for things like, one of the great ones are fig trees. I noticed there's some big fig trees around this property. So these are figs, and you want them like a pencil diameter, and then in the perlite mixture. And then, make sure you put the shoot side up. I've seen people do opposite. So remember where the shoot was if you have no leaves on it, okay? So you don't want to do that. They won't root upside down, okay? So plenty of perlite, keep out of the direct, you can burn these things up if you put them in direct sun, okay? So in the winter you can get away with some of that, but on the north side of the house is a good place, or under a shade tree. Layering is a very easy, very ancient technique. Layering is foolproof. Anybody can do that. What you do is you bend a branch and then secure it with a rock or a staple. You can get these landscape staples at Lowe's, and they're the big hooks, and you just staple it into the ground. And I forgot to mention, you have to rub off the bark a little bit around the stem. Don't be afraid to take a whole ring of bark away, like a little inch of, down to the green layer, probably. Yeah. Like I said, great technique for clethra, itea, deciduous hollies, forsythia, snowballs. This is good for things that don't like to be rooted, like cuttings. And if you have any questions, ask them. Air layering. I'm not going to talk a lot. This is kind of a trickier thing. You want to take, like I said, the bark away in a in a ring around the stem. I think this is too. Are y'all getting a lot of feedback? Maybe I should lower it. All right. Yeah, and then scrape the whole stem, and then cover it with sphagnum moss that you've lightly moistened, and then wring out. You don't want it dripping wet. And then cover it with a plastic or a foil, and then over time, you can root pieces of your camellia, or any shrub, really, for that matter. Most shrubs will root this way. So that's a great technique then you cut it off once you start to see some kind of activity. So take the foil away, and if you see a lot of roots in there, then you would cut it below the air layer, yeah, and then pot it up. Yeah, so air layering is great. Like cut a 1 and 2 inch circular ring. See, they cut it down to the white layer. Yeah, and like I said, double wrapping if you have a lot of rodents, you're going to have to protect it from the chewing rodent. But then you end up with these little balls of roots, that you can then plant in a container. Yeah, seeds. All right, so that's the first thing was cuttings. And now we're doing seeds. So how many people, just a show of hands, grow from seed? Oh, wow, a lot of people. Y'all are quite educated compared to a lot of people that I've met. All right, so we have a crisis in this country. Like a lot of young people aren't growing things anymore. So I try to encourage people to share your knowledge and inspire younger people to do that. All right, so fleshy seeds like trillium. I'm really into wildflowers like bloodroot, lycoris. They don't tolerate a lot of storage, but most of the seeds that we grow, like zinnias, sunflowers, can be stored for long periods of time in a dry situation. So you want to dry them out on the floor, and put them in paper bags or paper envelopes. Paper is important. If you put them in plastic, they'll rot, okay? But you dry them out in your house, and next to a vent is a great place to dry them. Lay them on I thought I had a picture of it, but I've laid out newspaper and paper and then dump my seeds on that and then spread them out. You want to spread them out and let them dry. And then you can put them in your container, in your paper sack or something. So I brought a few books, but these are two of my favorites for seed growing. Native Trees and Shrubs by Bill Kalina. And then this is a new one for me, Starting and Saving Seeds. There's a lot of books out now about saving seeds. So wet seed, this is a trillium capsule or seed. So it makes these fleshy seeds. Does everybody know what a trillium is? They're a wildflower that grows around here. If the deer don't eat it. But they contain at least, in that capsule, is about 10 seeds. Here's another example of a wet seed. Does anybody know what that is? It's related, yeah. It's a voodoo lily or Amorphophallus. Yeah, that was taken here in Coweta County. And then that, does anybody know what that is? That's a native plant. A mayapple, yeah. The interesting fact about mayaples is that they're primarily spread by tortoises. So they're eaten by the tortoise, and then they're excreted, away from the plant. But anyway, a lot of seeds like this evolved to go through a digestive system. So you want to ferment them. So that kind of replicates the digestive processes. Stir them and let them ferment and froth and for a long time. Here's a picture. These are hibiscus, the Turk's cap hibiscus, fermenting in a jar. So you wait till that scum layer, and then you can clean them. And this is a general rule that if any seeds are floating, and anytime you put a seed in water, if it floats, it's not always true, but that means it's not viable. So you want the seeds that sink. But this method, this fermenting method, is for anything that produces a berry, so like a holly tree or anything like that. Tomatoes are good. Like I said, that's the Turk's cap. Nuts are considered wet seed, okay? So if you have a nut like a pecan, you don't want to store it. If you do store it, you have to store it in the refrigerator for a while, but it has a shelf life. So you want to go ahead and plant that and then let the winter satisfy the conditions. So a lot of plants like to have, a long period of cold. They call that stratification, especially things that are native to our climate. So for the most part, I don't worry too much about that. I let nature do the stratification. So you want it just to sit outside in a pot over the winter. That's what I do with camellia seeds. Camellias actually produce seed. They're like little nuts. Amy Keller's idea, she has the hay bales surrounding, and then I think Ed Atkinson also does this. So they use the milk jug method. How many people do the milk jug method? That seems to be a Coweta thing. I never experienced that in Athens. They've got it down at the trail too, or the display garden down there. But you can use anything, really. So what that does is create a little microclimate for the seeds. So you can do winter sowing. I think they've already started a lot of things. So things like echinacea, monarda, black-eyed Susan. You can put these seeds in milk jugs and then let them get that naturally cold period, and then they'll grow like here, and then you can transplant them. So that's a way to do winter sowing. And I think the hay bales help create more heat. And then I saw this on the internet. So some people they cut their milk jug in half and then tape it together so they can open it. And you also use the top for ventilation, okay? Morning sun is better than afternoon sun. That's a general rule of thumb for seeds. You don't want to burn up the plant, because that is a little greenhouse. It can get hot in there, okay? Dry seed, so does anybody know what seed that is? That's just a little quiz. What makes a seed like that? A true lily makes a seed, like a lilium. This is the lily seed pod. Lilium, the Taiwan lily, that's a great plant for this. You should all be growing Taiwan lilies because they're beautiful. And then, like I said, I put the seed in these little, whatever I can find that's paper, okay? And I have a whole bedroom devoted to seed in my house, okay? Yeah. Yeah. And I can't let my cat in there, because he'll destroy it. Yeah. Okay. But see, don't put them in the plastic. I don't know why that shouldn't be in there, okay? Paper bags, yeah. Desiccants are good. So I always save, you get these desiccants in pill and, your medicine. So save those. They help dry things out. Oh, is that the time? All right. So this is another, for seed and cuttings, the same guy, Will Kalina, if anything by him is great. And then Richard Bird's Propagation of Hardy Perennials. These are great resources. There are a lot more, but I'm going to overwhelm you anyway. Many seeds require light to germinate. All right, so something like a native azalea, which makes a tiny little seed, it germinates in the moss. So in the wild, if you want to find baby native azaleas, go to the creek side and look in the moss, and you might find some little, but they require light. They will not survive in the leaf litter. So only the areas that get the sun. So, and there are a lot of other things, like crinums like to be, even though they're huge, they like to have some sun. Buckeyes evolved to be buried by squirrels and like acorns, okay? So you want to plant them deep. Starts, all right, so this is my favorite form because it's so easy. Everybody can do a dividing, and people should be dividing everything they have constantly. In fact, it invigorates plants to divide them, a lot of things. All right, most plants can successfully be divided. How many people have divided their plants? Most people, okay. All right, mints, obviously anything that has a runner can be divided. Asters, bulbs. Bulbs are fun to dig up, like daffodils, to see how many new ones you have. That's such a fun thing to do. And like I said, you get a genetic replica unless there's a mutation going on. So that's always my first choice because it's the easiest. All right, winter. A lot of the books will say do it in the fall or in the spring, but I like to do it in the winter, okay? Winter is a good time to do division because you don't have to water it. So typically we get rain in the winter and there's not a lot of stress, and most things aren't impacted by really cold temperatures that I grow. And then dividing, like you want to get a segment. This is a phlox, and by the way, I'm giving away some phlox in the what do you call that? The raffle or whatever. Cut sections with a root, and it needs to have at least one root and one shoot on it. So you can get lots of little babies from this. The iris is the same way. You want to have at least a node or an active shoot and then some roots. That's a general rule of thumb. Get a node and a shoot. Dividing. All right, so get a hori knife. These are great. They have a serrated edge and they're good for sawing. Like the hellebores, you know, that are tough. They're great for that. So you can get these, I don't know if you can get them at Pike's, but you could order it. And then also the two-fork. Has anybody tried the two-pitchfork method of dividing? That's a great way to divide a really woody, yes? Do you have, oh yeah, okay. And so this is the theory, you know, you put them together parallel and you pull it apart, and I don't know what the physics behind that, but it makes it easier. The double fork method. Also, have you noticed that your perennials will die out in the middle of the colony? So that is a normal pattern, you know, the new vigorous, see if you divide things, you want to take it from that outer red edge. Those are the most vigorous places in the plant. And also, division is great for things like Monarda, bee-balm, because they get spent, they get tired, you know, after a few years. So lilies are great for scaling. Has anybody done a scale, like taken off pieces of a scale and planted those? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a fun way to get. So you dig up your lilies in the fall or now, and then there's this lady on, she's an Irish YouTuber, Dewinsa, that's her channel. Check her out. She's got a whole demonstration on how to do lily scales, but you want a piece of the basal plate. That's the little, you know, the part of the onion the part that you cut off at the bottom, that's the basal plate. So you want a piece of that with each scale. If you don't get it, they won't root, okay? But this is a great method for doing lilies, onion, alliums, things like that. All right, then some things don't like to be divided, like Queen Anne's lace, parsley. So what do you do with how do you propagate parsley? Just in general, seed, yeah, that would be the way to, yeah. So members of the carrot family, and then also things with a deep taproot. Baptisias are very hard to divide because they're like wood underneath. So that's the redneck lupine. Yeah, that's a Baptisia from Plant Delights, a new one called Purple Rain. And if you aren't aware, Plant Delights just introduced their new 2025 list, so get on there and be prepared to spend like, $200 or whatever, like just for like 4 plants, like. But that's my addiction, like that's. So peonies are hard to divide. Columbines, rosemary. Rosemary is a great thing to layer, by the way. Lavender. Winter division, if you have a rare wild ginger from Plant Delights that costs like $40 a quart, then you want to do it in the winter. I've killed them by dividing them in the summer. There's more fungal pathogens in the summer, so winter division is the best for wild gingers or trilliums, which I'm obsessed with trilliums. I collect them and propagate them. This is one from Plant Delights that's native only to Georgia. So Georgia has the most species of trillium of any state. So protecting. This is a method that I learned recently, to put citrus peels in your pots and also coffee grounds. So I'm using the Sumo citrus because they seem to be my favorite. I don't know. And then coffee grounds. So you break them up and throw them into your pots. They keep the rodents and the deer from eating things. And I eat a lot of these. So that's a cool, yes.
Would the coffee grounds slow the deer from eating the daylilies as they first?
No, it won't help that. No. I'm sorry, but it only helps. I shouldn't have said deer because they will eat anything. And so this is really more for rodents. So if you have a rodent digging in things, this is more to deter that. The deer, you need to put these in a place where the deer can't get, behind a fence, or spray them with what is that one that everybody uses No, liquid fence. Bobex is another one, the coyote thing. I don't know. I mean, that's really bad. All right, so this is really what I'm here for, is the heirloom aspect of it. See yourself as a preserver of life. All right, so this is such important work, is to pass along plants, because a lot of these nurseries aren't growing, the things that I like. So a lot of these historic cultivars, we need to carry the torch forward and pass it to new people. So be a preserver of life. Learn how to grow something. Really learn about the plant that you care about. Pick a plant that nobody grows and then learn everything you can about it and then propagate it and share it. All right. Here's a trillium and a seashore mallow, a white one. I wouldn't expect, anybody to have these, but these are just examples of plants that you could grow. So even if you aren't great at labeling your plants, which I'm not, and labels get broken, and they fade. So it's better to still grow them, and you can even use your phone to identify them. And in the future, you'll be able to identify things to the species, to the cultivar. It'll know more than any expert. So grow it. That's the most important thing. Technology cannot grow the plant. It can identify the plant. But sharing what we have ensures that these plants will have a chance in an uncertain future, which it is uncertain, okay? So, and then spread it to people in your group that might, or in your neighborhood, who might carry the torch or be interested. So here are 2 books, and I think I brought one of these. If you don't have this one, I consider this the Bible of heirloom gardening. The one by William Welch and Greg Grant. These are both Texas people, and they have a huge book that is really full of great information. The other one is the Pass Along Plants, which I don't have a copy with me, but all right. So this is an abandoned house in Monticello, Georgia, where I'm from. And there's a Lady Claire camellia growing there. And I'm trying to root it. Well, I mean, that's not a rare cultivar, but isn't that a beautiful specimen? It's as tall as the house. So, and that's a kind of hard one to find in the nursery. So that's why this work is important. I also wanted to mention Elizabeth Lawrence. She's deceased now, I mean, obviously, but, you know, her work was really seminal in promoting heirloom or older cultivars, bulbs, and things like that. So I can't stress that enough. I mean, that is work that needs to be done. And I want to leave you with this little story about the ginkgo tree. People know that the ginkgo tree was almost extinct. It was so rare that it was coveted by the monks in China and Japan. And they are the ones that protected it for thousands of years. It could not survive on its own in the wild by the time that they got along. So without humans, something that we consider so valuable in our society, it wouldn't be here, you know. Without caretakers, through the generations, passing on. And by the way, they produce seed, so they're male or female. So if you have a female, it'll rain down these smelly fruits, and then you plant those. But that's how this plant has made it to North America and is in every town in America today. This is one from Cave Cemetery in Louis. If you've never been there, that's a great horticultural place in Louisville. But that's just one example. There's 100 million examples of plants that have been taken care of and improved by humans and diversified by humans over the eons. So with that, do I have any questions? Yes?
If you divide your irises now, when do you plant them?
I would plant them now. Yeah. Or yeah. What kind? Like bearded irises?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can plant them now. Yeah. They're tough. You know, they'll grow all the way to Minnesota, Ontario. So, yeah. So don't be afraid to break the rules, you know, and divide. Anytime you notice something, do it. Okay? Don't worry about what they say is right or wrong. You know, like, do the work. I have to do it when I see it, okay? Otherwise, I'll forget about it, okay? All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Have you started your seeds yet? When do you start your seeds?
I've started some of them. Yeah. Which ones have I started? I started some echinacea and some bee balm. Yeah. You can start them now. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Is there a temperature requirement for the seeds? Dried seeds or keep in the bags?
Temperature requirement, she said. You don't want it too hot. Like normal room temperature is good. Yeah. The drier, the better. Yeah. So some people use dehumidifiers. I don't feel like that's necessary. So you don't want to put it in a moldy cellar, okay? Yeah. In a room in your house, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, and by the way, I brought a bunch of these plants. Where are they? Okay. They're in bags, so they can be planted now in the ground. These are all hardy plants, like spider lilies, phlox, and stuff. And they can be planted in the ground or in pots. So they have their roots, you know, like, they're going to survive this way for a while, so don't worry about it. They're perfectly fine in a Ziploc container for like 2 weeks, okay? So put them in the refrigerator, though, okay? Yeah.
What do you write on for your tags? How do you?
Oh, I buy the Japanese, it's supposed to be for tags. It doesn't fade, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, I've only used it for a year. They haven't faded since, but go online and look up tag marker or permanent marker. Don't use a Sharpie because it'll fade, okay? Pencil will not fade in the sun, but markers will. So, but I've yet to be convinced on this one, so I can't really recommend it, but yeah. Any other? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you mentioned, I think, the hardwood cuttings.
Yeah.
In the winter and just stick it in the pocket.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
if that just be left outside,
Yes.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the temperature doesn't.
Well, if it gets really cold, like if it gets below 25, I move things. I'm constantly moving things inside and outside because I don't want it, I don't really know what the minimum temperature is, but it can take freezing, okay? It's just the extreme lows might kill it, okay? And that's true for camellias especially, so I'm constantly moving camellias in and out. Okay. Any other? Oh, yes.
Hey, Cliff, I put a couple things, like a fatsia leaf and a couple other things in water.
Yeah.
Or an avocado pit.
Yeah.
And they grow and they've got the roots.
Yeah.
But I probably wasn't gonna plant them until spring. Do I keep them in a cup of water or should I put them in a Ziploc bag?
I would plant them now, but keep them inside, especially the fatsia. Anything tropical like the avocado. She's asking about a lot of like house plants or tropicals. So yeah, put them in a pot, and then put the pot in the Ziploc. That'll create like a greenhouse, and then put it in a sunny spot in your house. Or you can keep it in the water. Eventually, it may rot in the water. So I don't know about that. Eventually, you're going to run out of time with the water, you know. Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah. Thank you.